Protect your car with 3W Liners all-weather floor mats. Made from durable materials like TPE and rubber, our mats are designed to withstand rain, snow, and mud with deep grooves to trap dirt and liquids. For a custom fit and advanced protection, visit 3W Liners. That's the number 3, WLINERS.com today. At Acasis, innovation drives us. Since 2008, we've been creating cutting-edge technology products that make your life easier. With a focus on performance, design, and customer service, we're here to help you work smarter, not harder. Join us on our journey to simplify your world. Visit Acasis.com today. That's ACASIS.com today.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. From gourmet snacks to unique finds, each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.
Yes, yes, yes. It's the Cam Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. Cam Stewart here live on YouTube. Scotty Swingler keeping us on the air. in what has been a jam-packed day here at the Rogue Media Sports Network and talk about the football weekend of the year, which commences tonight. College football playoff semifinal. This is the Notre Dame game tonight, right? That would be Notre Dame and the other one. And then Texas, Ohio State tomorrow. And then we got a full, not super wild card weekend. We don't call it super wild card weekend anymore, I guess. We've taken the superness out of that. But we are in for the football weekend of the year. Most importantly, though, today is a big day in football annals because it is the day that Mike Vrabel interviews for the New England Patriots head coaching job. This is the day. And it is supposed to be a done deal, right? Once he gets in there, they're not going to let him leave the facility. And of course, that is still the way I'm leaning as a Patriots fan who follows this every day. This is the way I'm leaning towards what the organization is going to do. But the more this goes along, which obviously has nothing to do with the interviews because they haven't interviewed him yet, but it feels like there is some element of it's not a done deal. And that's mostly coming from the Vrabel side, and it was out there the whole time. You know, we saw that report from The Athletic of what Vrabel wanted in a team. First off, it said he wanted to coach the Patriots. Like there's a definite interest there, and that's what we've all been running with. But there was also those three things, and one of the things, you know, open communication with the ownership, having the quarterback, and the other thing was personnel control. I don't know that he comes in here and just gets personnel control. In fact, I kind of doubt it. I think he should, because honestly, at this point, I think after the disaster you just went through with that one season of Mayo, you can give this guy some power here because you don't know what you've got at quasi GM. Elliot Wolf does not call himself the GM, and that's not his job title officially. But I see a guy in Vrabel who's been a successful head coach before, and if you're going to go in and do this, I wouldn't mind giving him some sort of personnel control. And to be honest, I would say the same about Ben Johnson, who's a guy who's not been a head coach before. Like, if you're going to bring that guy in and you're going to believe in his philosophy, then he should be able to shop for some of the groceries, as the great Bill Parcells put it, with this very same owner. I think that is a reasonable expectation in the NFL in 2025. But of course, the most salivating part of this is not just Mike Vrabel, but the rumors abound, and they are getting to be hot rumors at this point that Josh McDaniels is going to come in and be the OC if Vrabel is to take over as the Patriots head coach. Guys, I love it. I love it. As much as I understand why you wouldn't want to go back to Patriots regime, and it's one of the things I knocked on their hire for Gerard Mayo, like Josh McDaniels was not the problem. In fact, you go back to Mac Jones's career and the way it's fallen apart the last couple of years, the only good year he had was under Josh McDaniels. And if you had kept Mac Jones in a Josh McDaniels system, specifically with Belichick as head coach, then you could be talking about Mac Jones having a Brock Purdy type career right now. That's not unreasonable at all. Does he get to a Super Bowl? I don't know about that. Brock Purdy's got a lot of other talent around him, but their skill set, pretty damn similar. They're not big guys. They don't really sling it. They're not great against man defenses. Purdy's a little bit better than what we saw from Mac Jones, but they're not that different. They're not they're not big time prototype quarterback gunslingers arms the way that, you know, Drake May is, the way that Josh Allen is, and some of these other either elite quarterbacks or, in the case of May, prospective elite quarterbacks. But it doesn't stop there, because I had this dream, this just fantasy dart thrown at the dartboard that could actually come to fruition. It's not crazy. I envision a world where Mike Vrabel comes in with Josh McDaniels as his offensive coordinator, Robert Saleh as his defensive coordinator, and the Patriots go out and get a real GM, and that is the assistant GM, Mike Borgonzi of the Kansas City Chiefs, with all the Boston ties and the Scott Pioli ties. So a little bit of Belichick adjacent, Patriots dynasty adjacent. The Jets have already interviewed two of those guys. They've already interviewed Borgonzi, and they've already interviewed Mike Vrabel. But I don't think it's that crazy because Saleh is looking for DC jobs. In fact, there's a lot of traction with the Niners. A lot of the analysts covering that team don't believe that he would go back. And it would also be, 5 DCs in 5 years for San Francisco. This guy, you look at the Jets after he was fired. The Jets were a top-tier defense the last couple of years. They couldn't put it together offensively. And then they get Rodgers out there, and then it becomes a whole mess, and you fire Saleh after week 5 of the season. He was the first coach fired this year. And there was a great graphic that was on the Jets broadcast last week, and that was the defensive ranks before and after Robert Saleh got fired. In yards per play, they were first in the league. Yards per pass attempt, second in the league. Opposition yards per game, second in the league. Points per game, 5th in the league. And after Saleh was fired, yards per play, 10th. Yards per pass attempt, 26th. Opposing yards per game, 15th. Points per game, 28th. They became horrible. They went from an elite defense to a dog shit defense after they fired this guy. For years, my dream scenario was that the Patriots would hire Rex Ryan as their DC because he was an awesome coordinator, not a great head coach, although, had his years with the Jets. Robert Saleh, I thought, was an okay coach, the way he had built that team up. Of course, he was not the GM of that team as well, so something to be said for that. I thought Saleh was an okay head coach, not as bad as the Jets made him out to be, and is an elite defensive coordinator. Elite. And he's looking for a job. You want to hear about another former defensive coordinator that really wanted to stick it to the Jets and came to New England? Robert Saleh, come on. Come on, baby. It would make all the sense in the world for me if Vrabel would if Vrabel comes in with that holy trinity beside him, we're talking about like playoff contention in 2026. If he's able to bring in Josh McDaniels and Robert Saleh, and of course, throwing shit at the wall and seeing if it'll stick, Mike Borgonzi as the team's GM. One more thing is that on this Patriots thing, because there's now this article in The Athletic about Jerod Mayo on his way out the door. This is a classic Boston sports tradition of the 21st century, and that is, guy is out. Let's just drag him through the mud as much as possible. The worst example was with Terry Francona, but we've seen it for years. We obviously saw it with Belichick. We saw it with Manny. We saw it with Bruce Cassidy of the Bruins. Like here, there, and everywhere, if a coach or a popular player was leaving, it was time to drag his ass on the way out. And usually it was John Henry paying for it to go in his own newspaper. But this comes from The Athletic. And this is a story of Jerod Mayo after the 2-touchdown loss to the Cardinals on the road after the bye week on the team plane, leaving his seat at the front of the plane to go play cards with the players in the back while his assistant coaches watched film in their seats. On one hand, it's like, take it with a grain of salt, right? Of like, we've seen this happen before. I don't think Terry Francona was like a drug addict on his way out of the Red Sox, like the Boston Globe would have you believe. But on the other hand, it's like, why this is like overkill. Like Terry Francona got dragged through the mud by Henry's paper because it was not a popular decision to fire him. Same thing with Bruce Cassidy, right? It was not a popular decision to fire this guy. And Jerod Mayo, firing him is one of the most popular decisions made in Boston sports of the 21st century. Like, who didn't want that? Everyone wanted that to happen by week 18. So why the slander now? Like, I don't understand that. And by the way, he's already fired. Like, it's done. It's not like this story comes out and you're like, God damn, get this guy out of here right away. He's already gone. It's already gone. So on the third hand, I find it believable. Yeah, I do find it believable. He's clearly a guy that was one that most of the players liked. Of course, probably not Kayshon Boutte after he threw him under the bus, threw Boutte under the bus in the press. But clearly it was a, player empowerment kind of atmosphere in terms of the bikes in the locker room and the dumping the Gatorade bath on him after a week 1 win. It doesn't surprise me at all that there's a report that he was playing cards with the players on the plane while his assistants watched film. And chances are the insider of that plane is a coach who was up there watching film, doing their job as the head coach, again, after a piss poor performance following a bye week, is playing cards in the back with the players. So doesn't stun me that that would happen, but it doubly does not stun me that we're doing another smear campaign as a player or a coach in this case is out the door in Boston. It stinks, and you got to take it with a grain of salt, but maybe I like salt. Who knows? Maybe a little salt is good for you. What's not good for the Bruins is Don Sweeney and what's happening right now. We have Matt Barry of the Bruins Benders podcast to break it all down, whether Don Sweeney is fired yet or not. That's coming up next on The Cam Show.
Unlock your full potential with Onnit, your go-to for premium supplements, fitness gear, and wellness essentials. Whether you're training hard, recovering faster, or just looking to feel your best, Onnit has the tools you need to perform at your peak. Visit Onnit, that's ONNIT.com, and elevate your mind, body, and spirit today. Join the Daily High Club, the premier destination for glass water pipes, vaporizers, and accessories. Since 2015, we've sold over 1 million quality products and teamed up with legends like Snoop Dogg and Tommy Chong. Ready to elevate your smoking game? Visit dailyhighclub.com for our El Primo subscription box or shop unique pieces today. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at GlobalHealing.com and OrganicHemp.com.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at BestBuy.com and upgrade your tech today.
We've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but, he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super, super athletic.
South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about.
Look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.
are back on the Cam Show. Special guest Matt Barry of the Bruins Benders podcast, joining for the first time since Cam Stewart was a guest on the Bruins Benders postgame. And look, I'm not trying to sway you guys in any kind of direction, Matt, but I thought that was probably the best Bruins win of the year up to that point when I was on the postgame, and it's been all dog shit since.
Well, that's a valid point. And maybe there needs to be a different plan going forward. I don't know. I mean, that is very true, though, since then. I mean, holiday break, after the break, boy, they've been really, really bad. And now they've lost 5 in a row, season high, losing streak. Only have led 11 minutes during that time. It's not good. It's worse than when Montgomery was here, if you can believe it. Mm-hmm. And then now the Fire Sweeney chants at the Garden, which, we saw that type of activity from the fans with Mayo and Gillette. And usually that is a real sort of shockwave to ownership when something like that happens, because you can't have a fan mutiny. You just can't have that, especially Jacobs. So that would be the one thing that could really sway the Bruins to maybe even consider moving on from Don Sweeney.
And it does have that feeling, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I think they're very justified in both those chants, both for Mayo and for Don Sweeney. But this is a generation like mine was born into a bunch of success, saw a bunch of success, and coming of age and paying a ton of money to go to these games. And so that's how you get this kind of reaction. By the way, $90 just to get in the door next Tuesday against Tampa. $90 just to get in the door. And that's gone down. That's actually, that has gone down. And you're paying, you want to be center ice in the upper deck, Matt? How about $140? To
Which
get
is
in
down
the
from what it was,
door.
right?
You're right. Yeah, I check it periodically. I was checking when I went up there after Christmas, and that game against Columbus, which I think was a Saturday, I guess, to be fair, like 220 get in the door.
Sure.
It's fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
And to see this dog shit product. And so now we get the Fire Sweeney chants, quite audible on the broadcast and all over social media. Is it time to fire Don Sweeney? Has it been time to fire Don Sweeney?
I don't think it's been time, and it's not going to happen mid-season. I think that missing the playoffs is another step. I think this has to be step by step. I mean, they've had like 4 GMs in 100 years. Like, this has to be step by step, and there has to be layers to it for it to actually happen. Don Sweeney probably has a tremendous amount of value in the organization with other things. I mean, he's very smart. There's other pieces to the GM role that he's probably very good at and they like about him. Plus, he's a Bruin guy. I mean, they're very much, incestuous with how they hire there. So that's the other thing. So, but I think that missing the playoffs is another thing. The Fire Sweeney chance and missing the playoffs is a good combination if you really want Sweeney gone. It has to.
So is that the next step then? If this is a step-by-step thing, is that the next one?
The playoffs is the next step. But if you look back at it, Chiarelli lost his job because they were not good. They were missing the playoffs, and they were 2 years removed from a cup run. Should have almost won the cup, almost won 2 out of 3, and then 2 years later he's gone. So
yeah, the year before won the President's Trophy for whatever that's
right.
worth. Yeah,
right. So
really good team.
That happened pretty quickly. He also wasn't a Bruin guy, too. So there's that piece to it. And but I think the big thing is Cam Neely. I just think that Cam Neely's the new Harry Sinden. I still believe that. I think he'll be there until he doesn't want to be there anymore, and he'll have to fire his buddy at some point. And Sweeney, right now they're in a real bind. They have no prospect pool. They have very limited. They won't be picking high in the draft because they'll probably either sneak in or just be out of the playoffs. You're still mid-teens at best. And there was an aging group of core that, Marchand may be moving on. Coyle's getting older. So there's some guys there. Frederick might be gone. So, you thought you had your goaltender. That hasn't worked out. So, there's a lot of pieces there. You have to figure out how you're going to play first and stick to it. And I think that that's part of their lack of execution and togetherness on the ice is really the biggest problem. They just don't play well together. And I think that some guys think they should play a certain way, or they're trying to play a different way than they were. The roster is a disjointed bunch and doesn't seem to have much continuity or much purpose to it. And, there's guys from the old regime, and then there were guys brought in to play a different way. And I think it's all sort of led to this inconsistent group that is really caught in between how they play. So they have to figure that out first. I don't know. It's no easy fix. And I just don't know if they're going to be very, Stanley Cup good for a while, because I don't know how that happens.
So let's fast forward almost 2 months now to the beginning of March. Let's say the Bruins are in the spot where they're in right now. They've got a couple games in hand. They're not going to be in a playoff spot in a couple of weeks. Let's just say that. A couple of big games against Tampa too. So let's just say they're right on the outside looking in. They've still got a terrible goal differential, but they're kind of right there. It's the beginning of March. Don Sweeney's still in the office. Do you think he mortgages the future even more at the trade deadline? Can he? I mean,
this is the burning question. It was actually brought up by Kurt Lalonde on X today, and I thought it was a good point. Like, would management, the ownership, allow Don Sweeney to make any type of roster altering or franchise altering moves if they even thought they might move on from him at the end of the year? You know what I'm saying? So It's almost like if you know that if there's a 50-50 chance he stays, do you really let him? Do you really sign off on any type of major move? So that's another piece to it, which I didn't really consider. And I think it's a great point. Like, that could be true. Like, does he really go out and trade a Lowry and a Poitras and all this and try to get Elias Pettersson or someone? And will they sign off on that? So that's another piece to it. Like, it just leads to I think they'll see a couple of minor moves like they've done in the past, and they'll try like hell and hope to hell that they make the playoffs. And I think that's really going to be it. The only guy I think that might go is Frederick, just because it seems as though they're not close on an extension. And I don't think they let him go like DeBrusk went. So I think they probably send him before the deadline, but that's probably it off the roster.
It's not unlike the Patriots situation, to bring that back into it, in terms of, we hear this report of Mayo playing cards with players on the plane a couple weeks before the last game. You want that number one pick, and yet you don't fire him before the game, and look what happens. And that could be the case with the trade deadline for the Bruins. And I'm looking at, you talked about the prospects, and we all know 32nd ranked prospect pool. Watched an unbelievably fun World Junior Championships last week. It was such a great thing. And all these Mass kids, all these Boston kids, all these Beanpot kids are like winning the friggin' gold medal single-handedly. And the Bruins are the only team in the league without a prospect at the World Junior Championships. One of the most depressing things I've ever heard. Like, just how do you F that up that royally? And that's what you're looking at. And to the point where it's like, yeah, it is probably going to get worse before it gets better. So let's just say either they're a team on the outside looking in this year, or maybe, just maybe, they sneak in and get swept in the first round. When you're looking at the 25-26 Bruins, if you're in the seat, at that point, are you just like, man, Gavin McKenna, like, there's no use in getting in the playoffs this year after what happened this past year. Like, let's just really tank this thing.
Yeah, I mean, the last time they did anything like that was 05, 06, 07 in there when they got Chara and Savard, and they were really bad then. I mean, Bergeron in that year, I think he had like a -28. I mean, that was a bad hockey team. 15, they traded Lucic and Hamilton, but that was right when Sweeney began. So that was sort of his way to kind of start his own thing. And it worked out because 4 years later, they should have won the cup. So that was good. And he's been okay with tweaks to the past nucleus. I just don't know if he would be involved in the rebuild, and I wouldn't want him to be involved in the rebuild, to be honest with you.
Either.
Because he hasn't shown any real purpose in trying to create the new nucleus, the new core. So when Bergeron, Krejci, and Chara all left, he hasn't really been able to piece together the team that can be competitive. He really thought this was a playoff-ready group, but they may not even make the playoffs because it's been such a fail. And to me, I don't want him drafting anymore. I don't want him reloading and rebuilding and all that stuff. I don't want that. I really don't. So the only thing that would save him for me is if he got a Pedersen or someone like that, and it jump started the team, and they figured it out, and they got a pretty good coach, and they kind of started to play better again. I mean, the Capitals were able to reload. I mean, they were headed south and all of a sudden they're really good. But and I didn't say this at the time, but Spencer Carberry was probably the guy the Bruins should have hired as coach. I mean, he interviewed. Like, he probably was that guy. Now, I didn't know it, and they didn't know it, and whatever. But in hindsight, he probably was, because he's doing a marvelous job there. So you can reload in the NHL. You can, find it somewhere, and they do have some good players still. But, boy, they have to make some savvy moves for it to happen. And I'm not sure that Sweeney is willing or can make those moves.
Yeah, Washington, man, they backdoored into the playoffs last year in like the most incredible way. They got blown away by the Rangers, and then look at it now. I mean, the Rangers obviously are dusted now, but the Caps look like contenders, like all of a sudden. So it's a good point. And to update the standings, the Bruins are still in that third spot at 45 points. Tampa a point behind them with 5 games in hand, and Ottawa 4 points behind him with 4 games in hand. And Ottawa's now up to a even goal differential at 0. So 24 goals better than the Bruins. And Tampa is 57 goals better than the Boston Bruins. And it's just, I know there's a lot of calls for getting some of the kids up. I looked at someone had a video on it about the Bruins draft struggles. And it was like, Matt Poitras, second round, looks like pretty decent value. I think we think Matt Poitras is going to be a decent player. But Lane Hudson's picked a couple picks behind him. Or last year, Dean Letourneau is picked with his 2 points for the Eagles of BC this year, and Cole Hudson was picked a couple picks behind him. It's just so frustrating, and it's even so to that end of even when you have mortgaged so much of your future, as Don has done a bunch at the trade deadline, which is like hindsight 2020. I think we all liked those moves at the time. There was still opportunities, even with how much you had limited yourself in the draft position. There were still opportunities to make this team better, and it hasn't happened yet. And as we've talked about all season long, and it looks like it's going to rear its ugly head to missing the playoffs, is they just don't have talent. There's no talent. And they think they do. They think they can make plays through the neutral zone. They can't go tape to tape. It's incredible. Like, they cannot pass the puck to each other.
They can't pass the puck. And you know what? The prospect that you just talked about, like, they don't seem to treat the prospects well. They don't seem to give them a chance. They don't seem to develop them. Like, we talked about this on the pod. Trent Frederick was the last drafted forward that they actually developed. Like Johnny Beecher, but he's 1 foot out the window. He doesn't do much of anything. And then Trent Frederick might be gone. You might have nobody in the 10 years that Sweeney has been the general manager. No homegrown forward that you developed. 0. Unless Poitras becomes that guy.
That's inexplicable.
It's unbelievable.
It really
is. I don't care where you're drafting. Like you said, like Braden Point was a 3rd round pick. Kucherov was way down the board.
Marchand, 2nd or 3rd round pick.
Whatever it was. Was that?
Marchand, 2nd, 3rd round pick. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, Swayman was a
2nd round pick.
3rd or 4th round pick, whatever he was. Like, I know he's a goalie, but other than that, they really haven't had a forward that we've heard all these prospects come through, the Sadnikas and the Laukos and the Steens and all of these guys that just came and gone, Ryan Donato's and all of these guys that have come and gone, and they still don't have a forward to speak of, which is unreal. I don't care how many draft picks you've traded away. You should have hit on something, in 10 years.
Yeah. The eye for talent. It's
just not there.
Bad.
And I don't know, again, it speaks to what type of player do they look for? Like, I don't know if they know that. Like, what's the identity? I want someone in the media to say, Don Sweeney, what do you look for? What are the analytics and what are the intangibles you're looking for in each player? Does each player have a common denominator? Like, you have to be this for Boston Bruins hockey. I want someone to ask that question and see what he says.
Even if it's old school and antiquated, which it probably is, but at least there's something.
At least there's a purpose of playing. tell me what it is. And I wish he can come on the pod anytime and I'll ask it to him. Like, he probably hates our guts, but I'll be fair. I'll ask him and I'll take the answer.
A lot of laughs.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Donnie. Yeah.
Sweeney sounds like a barrel of laughs.
Oh my God.
But I wish I remembered to credit whatever show it was that talked about this. But I remember now that they said about Johnny Beecher, they brought this quote back up after they had drafted Beecher, and they were saying like he's going to be a good like bottom 6 forward for us. And it's like, you picked him in the first round, and you're already saying like classic bottom 6 guy, and he's barely a bottom 6 guy, barely. Anyway, all right, Matt Barrie, Bruins Benders podcast, which has a new episode today.
Yeah, just dropped this morning. Yeah.
What do we got?
We're going to talk some Joe Sacco and his gutsy loss statement. We're going to talk about Sweeney, and we're also going to talk about the roster. Is it a problem with the roster, or is it a problem with player performance? And we go through every player, and quite a few are underperforming. Quite a few.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I do kind of feel bad for Sacco at this point. I mean, it's probably his last shot, and with the card he's been dealt, and I'm sure we'll hear some stories from that locker room.
Sure.
Once the
I'm
season
sure
ends,
we will.
so.
I'm sure, like you said, when Roger Clemens leaves, Mo Vaughn leaves, Nomar Garcia leaves, like everybody gets swept, and everybody just gets drugged through the carpet, and that's what happens in the media. Someone's got to pick they got to have the fans pick a side, and they want to tell their side.
Clockwork. Tyler Sagan, apparently a cokehead. Yeah, I remember that one. Anyway, that's available. I do it on Apple Podcasts. Also, you guys got the post game tonight on YouTube.
On YouTube, Inside the Rink YouTube channel. Check it out and jump in the comments with us. We have a blast.
Catch Matt Barrie there, and then catch him here next Thursday on the Cam Show. Coming up next, we're talking a little Bill Belichick with the great Pete Souza of Rogue Media Sports Network.
Ready to bring your vision to life? At Small Rig, every idea, design, and product is inspired by you, the creator. With our industry-first under co-design mode and the Dream Rig free customization project, we unite with global creators to turn big dreams into reality. Whether it's a cage rig or mount, Small Rig's versatile gear is built to elevate your craft. Small Rig, where your creativity meets our innovation. Go to smallrig.com.
Want to turn your passion into profit? With Blogify, creating a blog has never been easier. Build, customize, and grow your site with powerful tools designed for beginners and pros alike. Start sharing your story today and watch your audience grow with Blogify. Download Blogify now in the App Store. Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Stay connected no matter where you are with eSIM-X. Say goodbye to expensive roaming charges and physical SIM cards. With access to over 200 global carriers, we make mobile connectivity seamless and affordable for travelers worldwide. Join the future of communication today at eSIMX.com. That's ESIMX.com.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
It is Matt Mosley, and it's the Obstructed View podcast, Rogue Media Network. I think they're learning that there's really no wonderful view of me. See, I feel like they think this feed's going to be really wonderful.
There must have been, no BS, like 20 scouts, 15 to 20 NBA scouts there to see him, and he was top 5.
When your old number wasn't working, I went through various channels to track you down. So unfortunately, you can never get away from me. But I'm happy. Man. I'm happy to have you today.
No, thanks for having me. And you know we always family, no matter where I'm at.
Welcome to a special edition of the Doomsday Podcast. Look at this. We got one of the great golfers in the world, certainly one of the great pass rushers in NFL history.
But he also had a vision for you. And so it was like you had the best of both worlds, right? You had somebody on you early, and then you had somebody who was maybe more relaxed.
What were a couple of your biggest takeaways? The person you referred to that I spoke with, I've spoken to some personnel people and general managers of the league to get some, independent, objective assessments of the players the Cowboys picked, and we'll go through that. Has the general manager changed at all in the draft for him?
Nope, it's been the same since I was here the last time.
We are back, and look who's back on the Cam Show. You might know him from the Pete Souza Show on Rogue Media Sports Network. His name is Pete Souza.
Cameron, I'm so happy to be back with you.
This is great. It's just like old times. Third segment.
Last night, Scotty and I were talking about Nikki Collin and the Baylor women's basketball team today.
And that new commercial?
No, well, on my show. But the reason, the reason was they played last night against Arizona. I was watching it, and then you know how you get into like coaching deep dives, and those Locked On Baylors you do, like they live forever, and they're out there. Like I watched one from January 4th of last year where you were like, I love this coach. And you went on about Nikki Collin. It was great. It was really good. And the headline I stole from you, she's coaching her way out of Kim Mulkey's shadow.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, that did not get the bait that I thought it would in terms of a YouTube headline. But no, it was true. Like at that point, I thought they were undefeated. They were real conference contenders, which kind of fell apart. But I do like Nikki Collin, man. I do. I like her style of basketball. It's just I'm waiting for it to all come together. And to be honest, I thought it would happen by now. But that was some real defensive lapses late in that game last night, but do get the gut check win.
Hey, so that was the headline I stole from you. So I issued you a headline today because when I was actually living in New York City at the time. It was after the 1999 or 2000 playoffs where the Mets were eliminated. And it come to find out that Bobby Bonilla, as the Mets were being eliminated, and Ricky Henderson were playing like spades in the dugout. Yeah. You remember this?
Yeah, 99 Atlanta.
Spades in the clubhouse. And the New York Post headline was, it was in the cards. And that brings me to Gerard Mayo and him playing cards on the plane, which is basically his Green Mile flight.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, and what I didn't mention in that first segment, which really pissed me off, which I kind of talked about with Matt Barry, weirdly enough, was like, if you're going to do, like, if you know that as an organization, like that should piss you off, right? After such a bad season, if that's true and you know it's true and you're kind of leaving your other coaches out to dry as they watch film and do their job and you're doing that, like at that point, I'm firing them before the last game and saying, there's we're not winning this game. We're not throwing away this season so that this coach can try to prove a point and win this game and lose the number one pick. And they didn't, and they dropped down to 4. By the way, before we get into the Belichick stuff, is that a like advanced release for you behind you, that killer story by Claire St. Amand?
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm like waiting for this to come out. I want to read it.
She's amazing.
Have you read it yet?
No, I haven't. No.
Pete doesn't read.
I listen.
Oh, you got it on. Are you going to do the audiobook?
100% I will.
I'm
in the middle of, you want to talk about a guy who reaches for like broadcasting books? I'm in the middle of Chris Meyer's book, That Deserves a Wow. And it's really good.
Dude, I'm actually about to finish up an audiobook that you would really like. It came out like less than a year ago, 2024. Armin Katayan did one about just the changing landscape of college football. It's called The Price. And it's just like all about navigating NIL and like recruiting and transfer portal, and it's really good. Each
chapter was written last year. Okay.
Yeah. He does a lot with Mike Locksley, and there's a couple Harbaugh chapters, Kirby Smart, Saban stuff. It's pretty. Okay. He rails on Jimbo for like a whole chapter, and it's really good.
I would definitely listen to that.
Yeah.
You know what book I shut off? I stopped listening to for all the Boston people out there. It was just too much windbag. Was Bob Ryan? I couldn't get through. I couldn't, because honestly, it would have been better left read. Listening to him, I was like, oh my God, it's enough.
Did he read it too? Did he do the audio?
Did he? Yeah. I felt like he was coming. He read it from like a mountaintop.
I did get that for Christmas one year. I don't think I made it all the way through. Is that the Scribe one? Is that it?
No, it's it came out a couple years ago. Maybe it was Scribe. Yeah, it goes all the way back to growing up. You know, some of those bios, the first like 15, I guess, first 15 years of their life are chronicled. And I don't need that. I don't need Bob Ryan growing up.
That you're absolutely right. That happens in. I mean, I remember Shaughnessy wrote a book about covering the '80s Celtics a couple of years ago, and like the first 2 chapters are about his upbringing, and I'm like, I don't care. I do not care. Anyway, speaking of Boston, Bill Belichick. Talk about a name that is getting hot in the coaching carousel in the NFL. There's been reports now that teams have been reaching out, including the Raiders, Pete's unofficial team, as Tom Brady, of course, has an ownership stake and has been part of the process. That's been known. He's part of this coaching search process, and they're reaching out to Belichick. There's been an athletic report from Diana Rossini that says he doesn't plan on leaving North Carolina. That doesn't say he's not leaving North Carolina. What credence do you give to this? Do you think there's a real shot that Bill Belichick is being introduced as an NFL head coach next week?
God, when you put it like that, you're so good at asking questions. What a journalist. When you put it like that, no.
Even though it's a yes/no question.
I don't think there's a good chance of him being introduced as an NFL coach next week. But there's a chance, like Diana Rossini said, and going back to a conversation I shared with you, Stephen Belichick's on his staff, right? Mm-hmm. And I was actually talking to Chris Patola about this before the Baylor game I did. We were talking about guys who position their sons to take over, and how it's like, wouldn't this be interesting? And it's not even position their sons.
It's a big part of this, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even their sons; it's their successors, like what Tony Bennett did at Virginia. Like
Smith famously did it.
Yes. You have these programs or organizations over a barrel. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if Stephen Belichick is the top assistant. He very well could be.
He's going to be the head coach in waiting. Yep.
Okay, he is. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. So if Bill Belichick were to bounce, in a week, that leaves North Carolina either to make a crazy decision, which in this world of college football, you could see happening, or to stick with Stephen Belichick. Which, if you're Bill, what do you like this? You're like, ooh, I didn't know. I didn't mean it.
Look, guys, it was a great offer. You'd take it too.
So there's a little bit of that. So I think the answer is he won't leave this year. I think he'll leave next year to go back, and I think he'll leave Stephen in charge of everything. And
so you think the pot will still be hot for him next year?
Yes, dude. Okay. You watch these games. These coaches are awful.
Yeah.
They
Trust
really
me, I saw plenty of that, brother. I had to watch the Patriots and the Cowboys most of the year.
I mean, really bad.
It is worth noting, too, about Stephen. Like, Stephen went out on his own this year at UW as the DC and did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
like, they weren't a great team.
Great coach.
But they had a good defense. And it's worth noting that also part of this athletic report on Gerard Mayo playing cards was that he was going to demote Stephen. So everyone thought, okay, Stephen's leaving because his dad's leaving. And that was not the case. He was actually going to demote him and wanted DeMarcus Covington to be the defensive coordinator. And the Patriots defense effing tanked this year. It tanked. And it had most of the same personnel from last year, most of it. And so Stephen was calling the plays on defense for the Patriots. Like he can probably coach. And that's why I was kind of intrigued by, not stunned, but intrigued by getting the head coach in waiting with Carolina, because I think he can pave a way for himself.
Oh, for sure.
And now he was working with one of his dad's guys, Jed Fish, but like he can make a name for himself. By the way, if you do lose Belichick at Carolina, you might lose his entire staff right now, because it is Bill Belichick, Steven Belichick, Mike Lombardi, Matt Lombardi, and Freddie Kitchens.
How funny is that?
Does it surprise you? Like, this is a man who took special teams coordinator, failed head coach Joe Judge, defensive coordinator and failed head coach Matt Patricia, and made them the offensive coordinators for their second-year quarterback. Their second-year quarterback they spent a first-round pick on.
You know what a great story is that you'll like? USA Basketball, when Larry Brown was the head coach of the year in 2004 when they lost, Larry Brown was like hell-bent on making Gino Auriemma the video coordinator, but he knew because he was out of spots. So he wanted to put Gino somewhere on the basketball operations staff, and that was where he wanted to put him. And they were like, you realize the video coordinator actually has to video coordinate.
Yes.
Like if you put Gino there will be no video. And it was like, just give me Gino there. We'll figure it out. You know?
Oh my God. Were you a part of this? Was that when you were?
I was low level. I was like the PR intern at the time. I was with the women's team.
Okay, but okay. So you didn't have a hand
in all this info. Yeah.
So you kind of had a hand in the worst USA basketball performance ever. By the way, Pete Sousa's fingerprints are in there.
All over it, yeah. And then they sent me to the Bobcats, so you could tell I'm a real winner.
In the Sixers, lest we forget.
Yeah.
So, all right, I do have another question here with Belichick, because I think he should have been, if not should be, a name in this. We talked about this in this coaching carousel for the NFL. That's the reason I was most surprised with taking the Carolina job, because I thought he had options this year. That said, are the Raiders the option? This is a team that obviously has plenty of issues. They just fired a coach basically after his first full year. And they need to go out and draft a quarterback in the weakest quarterback draft in years. Is that the kind of situation you want Bill Belichick in if you're the Raiders?
No, and I feel like we've done that tango briefly and it's over with, because I do believe in Diana Rossini, like as a reporter. Like I think like he's not going to take that Raiders job. That's kind of what that report was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
So they're taking Dion.
Well, I don't know what they're going to do, but I don't. I think like I think the Raiders. The reason is the Raiders as a. I mean, it's not beyond them to hire somebody and fire him in a year and then hire Belichick again. But you would like to think, if you're the Raiders, that whoever we hire will have some sustainability. So Bill Belichick with the Raiders, I would think, is off the table, right? Because you're going to hire a coach, and ultimately the goal of that coach is to last more than 1 year. And I think that Belichick will be back on the market because of his age and because of his aspirations in the NFL, probably in a year.
Okay. Did the Texans do that? They do back-to-back one-off firings? And that right, Cully and then Lovie Smith?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. And whatchamacallit did a pretty good job. The second guy.
Lovie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But whatever.
I will say, if Belichick's looking to coach around the NFL, I can think of a team that has an opening that would fit pretty well. Obviously, there's 6 openings now that is ready to. They have the quarterback. They're ready to make that next step. They really need some help in player personnel development. I think this might be outside the box, but Bill Belichick to the New England Patriots wouldn't be the craziest thing in my book.
Dude, I am a product of George Steinbrenner and Billy Martin.
Really? Oh,
look, anything's possible, dude. Anything's possible. I truly do. I mean that. Anything is possible, and time heals all wounds.
I would welcome Belichick back in a second.
Think about that. Yeah.
And because he'll bring Josh with him. He'll bring Josh McDaniels with him, which is one of the reasons why I am so high on Mike Vrabel, because I think he'll bring McDaniels with him. And I love him developing a young quarterback versus whoever the fuck they were going to, Alex Van Pelt or whomever, right? And I am wary about Ben Johnson. I like Ben Johnson a lot. And in most years, I'd be like, yeah. And in fact, I said it earlier this year, like Patriots take Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
But after you just struck out so big on a guy who'd never been a head coach before, I think Ben Johnson's more qualified than Mayo, but I think that's a big leap.
It is a huge leap. I'm super interested.
They should have hired him last year. They should have hired. I know he turns the jobs down ultimately, but they didn't even interview him last year.
Yeah, I'm cool with Rex Ryan going to the Jets. I'm like beyond cool with that. Yeah,
I think it's great for content.
I think exactly. I think it's great for content, and I want Gruden with the Cowboys.
Would you rather be the Patriots or the Jets right now?
I'd rather be the Patriots.
Me too.
Sure.
As bad as it's
because I look in the mirror and I'm Bob Kraft. I don't look in the mirror and I'm Woody Johnson.
Well, that too, I guess. Yeah.
No, because Cam, you know this. Like true sports talk, it starts with ownership, and it's clear that the Patriots know that. I believe there's an acknowledgement and a self-awareness. Like we botched this. We got to get it.
I did say it was a good Kraft presser. You know, take anything a press conference like with a grain of salt. But I actually think he held his own. And it looked genuine. I'll say this about Kraft. I've had plenty of problems with him the last year or two. And I think he has a bit more of an ego than we saw for a long time. But he is genuine. And you can tell when he's being genuine. And most owners, you can't tell that.
Imagine that, a self-made millionaire with a huge ego.
Crazy, right?
I mean, like
crazy. And also, like the walk to the office is a little bit more fruitful for Bob Kraft than Woody Johnson. You know, the trophies lining the walls, the pictures.
No, that's and there's self-esteem that comes with that, and I think there's comfort in your own skin that comes with the ability to be like, you know what, I'm shutting this down. Let's get Vrabel done.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm in on Vrabel. Vrabel McDaniels, Robert Saleh is DC, and Mike Borgonzi is GM.
Two things why I got you good content, because I know you're going to wrap up here. So Mosley was giving me a hard time. So I screwed up the other night. So Josh Ojanwuna, right?
I did get a text from Mosley. Yeah.
So, well, how do you say it, Cam?
I would have said Ojanwuna. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I was watching the broadcast.
But a couple times, I guess I said Ojanwuna, and Mosey was like, "Why? You know, that's not how you say it. You and King do the same thing." I was like, "All right." So, and I think I said Ojanwuna because Patola was saying Ojanwuna, and I think a guy like that always knows how to say it the right way.
Wet.
He's wet.
What was the other thing?
And the other thing was at the end of I went on Mosley's show yesterday, and we're having this great back and forth. And at the end, we're talking about Arizona Baylor, and I'm like, I did the move I just did with you with Lovie Smith. I'm like, yeah, they have that great coach. What's her name? You know, the Barnes woman. You know, she's great. He goes, you might not want to identify her like that on your next broadcast. I'm like, all right, Mosley, like take it easy, dude.
I'll probably know.
Yeah,
I'll probably know by the time I take the mic, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Pete Souza of the Pete Souza Show. New time slot.
10 a.m.
Central Time.
Yeah.
That's 11 a.m.
Keep us apart. They don't understand the magic. They don't.
Look at this.
They don't.
Are you kidding me with this?
No, they don't. They don't.
Oh, dude, one more thing, because we were talking about Belichick.
But we can talk all we want because we got Mike Hamilton down the street with Zach Owen.
Yes, happy birthday, Zach.
Happy birthday! It's Zach's birthday, everybody. They got a fucking blimp flying around outside the Alpha building. Happy birthday, Zach Owen.
I was like, I don't even know who that is, man. I'm glad he's a part of our network.
So am I. He swings a huge stick here. We are happy to have Zach. There's no question.
Real stick swinging contest going on at Rogue Media. But so Grace and I went to this outdoor college hockey game at Wrigley last week.
Yeah.
It was 10 degrees outside. I had a great time. And so did she. We had a great time. And she invited one of her friends from college who lives in Wrigleyville. And that friend invited both of us to her friend's birthday party. And we get this Evite, and it's like whatever, so-and-so's 26th birthday plus BBL. And we know BBL in the social media world is Brazilian butt lift. And the invitation says it's the 25th anniversary of Bill Belichick officially being hired by the Patriots. And so the BBL stands for Bill Belichick's legacy. So we will be celebrating her birthday and Bill Belichick's legacy. Like this, the friend doesn't even know anything about me. And I'm like, I told Grace, I was like, can you ask her if I can wear my like Belichick style cutoff Patriots hoodie? Because I am wearing the Belichick style crew neck right now, but I do have a hoodie with the sleeves cut off as
You
well.
do?
So yes. So I will be wearing that to this complete strangers party. I'm gonna get high and I'm gonna go to this party dressed up as Bill Belichick, and I'm only gonna speak like Bill Belichick. So, and it's great because the sweatshirt's too short.
Get arrested, Scotty.
The sweatshirt's too small, and so you've seen some pictures of Belichick lately. He's got the moobs out there, so it's going to be perfect. Although I did go to the gym yesterday.
Honestly, Cam, you seem like you're. I hate that you're gone, but you seem like you're happier. So kudos to you.
I promise this is the last thing because you guys will love this.
Yeah.
Went to the gym yesterday because I got a boxing gym membership for Christmas, which I told you I wanted to get back to. Yeah. Did the first trial class yesterday. Did not make it through. Puked my guts out in the trash can in the fucking gym. And the guy, like, this was so great. And this is the exact kind of trainer I need. Like, the first couple heaves and chunks that comes out, he was like, all right, man, we'll probably move you on to the stationary bike next. And then after like the third, fourth, and fifth, he's like, yeah, he's like out on the other side. He's like, we'll call it a day. How about that? We'll call it a day.
How long did it tell me? How many in real time? How long till you start puking?
45 minutes.
That's pretty good.
But the problem is, like, it wasn't that intense, Pete. You know, like, we hadn't really gotten into it. It started with like 6 running laps around the block, which is what really got me. I haven't run in like 10 years. And so like that really hurt me. So
You're back, dude. You're back.
I'm kind of back. Yeah. But then it was like jump rope for a while, which I can't do. And then it was like steps and punches. I just had to tell him, like, in the middle of one of these, because I don't throw up. I've never done that in a workout. I'm out of shape a lot. I used to be an athlete, and it's never gotten to that. And I was like, man,
you worried it could have been something like more serious?
No, I didn't eat a lot that morning, and I didn't probably properly hydrate, and I hadn't worked out in so long, and I've been getting high and eating shit for a year and a half.
I picture like Mickey Rourke and the wrestler, like puking in the locker room, going down, having a heart attack.
Pete, we got to cut this off. Cut this off. As great as this is, maybe we'll have you. Actually, I have an interesting interview tomorrow. We're going to talk a little hockey, New England hockey, but not the Boston Bruins. That's interesting. Be sure to like and subscribe.
My man, Michael, you got to talk to my boy Sully, dude. You got to talk to Sully. He's literally like in St. Louis now all the time with your boy. Is it Monty?
Monty, yeah.
Yeah, he knows.
Does he live in St. Louis?
Well, Monty is with the St. Louis.
Does your pal?
No, he lives in Vegas, but he's Monty. Like they're like this, dude. Yeah.
I need to get with your boy Sully to get a job, brother.
Hey,
I need to be Monty's video guy.
I'm telling you, you should have Sully on. He's been on, dude. He goes on. He knows everybody. He was very close with my brother Kevin. He goes on He's been on Dan Patrick before. Like he's dialed in, dude.
Let's have him on and let's talk Monty, because I was giving Monty the business a couple months ago. Saying not that he was the only problem, but now we're all starting to realize that it's also the GM. So I'd love to have Sully on.
All right, if you can handle Sully, I'll take care of it.
Well, if you can handle me, I guess I can handle Sully.
All right,
be sure to like and subscribe. We're back high noon Eastern time tomorrow. Pete's got his show at 10 a.m. Central time, 11 a.m. Eastern, live on YouTube, and then wherever you get your podcasts. We've ran way too long, so we'll see you tomorrow.
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today. Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Tusains, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Tusains.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com.